What's Noctis? Subscribe to Vincent Valentine EX Turk channel.
Hello guys, my Archfiends of Chaos is your King Knight, Vincent Valentine EX Turk, and we're coming here with another Final Fantasy theory, or should I say Final Fantasy 15 theory to be completely accurate. And my phone's kind of weird. I'm trying to get the music level to be, yeah, it's about equal. So without further ado, let's get to it. But before that, I'd also like to say this is brought to you by Magic Bullet. Start making some healthy protein shakes, some healthy protein gym shakes and health drinks and vegan drinks. Get to it. Blend that stuff in the Magic Bullet and drink. And get started. Okay. Now, since without further ado, a frequently asked question to people who either played Final Fantasy 15 as a general gamer, or people who are that are into the Final Fantasy fan base, or people who just get into the Final Fantasy fan base. There's a big concerning question: how did Noctis defeat Ardyn so easily? First of all, we gotta break down both skills. Ardyn in the beginning was 50 times stronger than Noctis in the first part of the half, because Noctis has not got all the Arbinger weapons, which were the previous Lucis King's weapons. So because you know he didn't have all that, Ardyn would have been able to kill him 10 times over. Now the reason why Ardyn spared Noctis again, so he can have the King's Ring, because only King of Light could actually complete the ring. Meaning that Ardyn couldn't do it himself, or he would have killed Noctis 10 times over already. Now, with that, Ardyn was kind of stupid a little bit, because Ardyn didn't think that Noctis was going to be able, I don't know, pass the test or something like that. Or at least he was hoping he passed the test, but Ardyn was so arrogant to think he was stronger than Noctis already, that he'd be stronger than Noctis even in 10 years past. Noctis was in a crystal stasis sleep for 10 years, and that's what the World of Versus 13 DLC fan theory I made could have some way into this. But for argument's sake, we're not gonna mention that world. Okay, we're not gonna mention the DLC that didn't happen yet. We're gonna be mentioning what happened in the game. So Bahamut willed his entire power to Noctis. And if you remember the conversation with Bahamut and Noctis, but this will also be the cost of your life. You will have to forfeit your life in order to gain this power. Noctis accepts it. In fact, that's why Noctis makes a sacrifice for himself. In order to rewrite the world the way Noctis wanted to, he would have to give up his physical body. And the only thing he would have is his spiritual form that you see in the end of the game. So, Noctis not only has 10 times of his power, of his own power, but Noctis also has, you know, not just trained from the World of Versus 13, you know, type of, you know, thing, and 10 years to develop his powers in deep meditation. And meditation is really good for the mind, and to experience more spiritual type of strength. And that's the power for him. It's the power of the kings. It's his family. It's the royal blood. Since now all the kings have willed their power with them already by collecting all the Arbingers, Bahamut himself wields his entire power to Noctis. And with this power that he gets, Noctis can make anything he wants. I know this sounds Mary Sue-ish, and I'm not gonna lie, Noctis is kind of a Mary Sue character. Now before we hit that dislike button, let's be quite honest, he kind of is. He already started off a little OP, and then he gets even 10 times more OP because now he has the power to do anything he wants. I love Noctis as a character, but I have to put that there. I have to be the villain. I have to be Ardyn on this. But no. No, but back to the theory thing. Yes, Noctis gets the power to do what he wants, and Bahamut's full power. So now he has the full power. That's why when Bahamut tries to strike down Ifrit, was able to stand back up. So, because he gave his full power to Noctis. So Noctis has the power of a complete astral, as well as the power of his ancestors, the king generation. Eons of generations of Lucis kings to add to that power and crystal with a completed crystal ring completed Eos crystal ring, as well as all the Lucius Caelium family members before him. Generations of people will their power to Noctis. And as well as Bahamut gained the power to do what he wants. So technically it made that fight easier. It made that fight really easy. I mean, when Noctis was first fighting Ardyn, he got his butt kicked pretty badly, and that's because he was using his regular strength like he always does in every boss battle. First hand, he just uses his regular, abilities. But then when Ardyn knocked him out, for that millisecond, Noctis was able to awaken the full power of the Arbinger. Now, what is the full power of the Arbinger? It's the full power of the previous Lucius kings. The complete power of every single Lucius king before him. So I have to change the music up. It's the power of the previous Lucius kings before him. So add the power of every single king and queen of Lucius, because one of them was a queen. Add the power of all those generations of kings and queens who had the same power Noctis has. And as well, even if they don't ascend to the light, even if they're not ascended ones, they're still able. They're still able to have the power that he has, such as the Armiger, the warping abilities. In fact, the King's Glaive members learn the warping abilities from King Regis. Believe it or not, Titus Andronicus worked closely with King Regis, and this is before he outed out himself as General Glocka, which is another spoiler. He worked with King Regis really closely, so he's able to teach the Glaive all of King Regis's best moves, and that's where the King's Glaive comes from. Even though they shouldn't be trying to use that kind of power because they're not royal blood, they can learn the warp stuff at least, because those are their basic powers. Those are the basic things that anyone can learn in that world. But it's mostly unique and naturally inherited to the Lucius Caelium family. So yes, even the kings that weren't ascended gave their power to Noctis, as well as Bahamut himself. And that's why I said Bahamut was weaker when he fought Ifrit in that one strike. And that's why he lost, because Noctis got in his entire power. And yes, he had to give up his body at the end of the day, and give up being physically alive, and now he's like a spiritual form. But it was to destroy the ring, because Ardyn made the ring that way. That's why if you go back to the Omen trailer, King Regis consults the crystal, and the person who talked behind the crystal was actually Ardyn Lucius Caelium. And then King Regis asked, and this is why I have a theory that this also happened right after Ardyn met, Regis. That's why he, consulted the crystal, because he knew Ardyn was talking on the other side of the crystal. And Ardyn says, "This time I'm only looking forward to one life instead of millions of lives." It was just this one life that could put an end to everything that happened. The Star Scourge, Ardyn, everything. And that's what happened. Pretty much, Noctis became a god himself. He became an astral himself, full-fledged. This time he's no longer human. He's pretty much a god. So in this case, Noctis would have became a god of light. That's why he didn't become a knight around at the end of the game, because he ended the legacy of the Lucius Knights. Because he was the, I mean, some of the other kings ascended, and that's how you become a knight around, is you have to ascend. But Noctis became the pure ascendant, because he was the only one to put an end to the Star Scourge and Ardyn once and for all. Though the short answer why it was easy, that boss fight was actually easy, it's not about just game mechanics. Square Enix planned for you to beat Ardyn in the beginning. That's why usually final bosses are hard. Caius was hard in Final Fantasy 13 too. Sephiroth was hard in Final Fantasy 7. They planned you to beat Ardyn, but the reason why that is it matched the story. It matched the story. Noctis as became the ascended god king. Pretty much has the power to do anything he wants. Think Benevelza from Final Fantasy 13 Lightning's Return. And how when Lightning became the new kind of Benevelza after she defeated Benevelza, except she was able to write the rules where she could live in the human world. Noctis pretty much did the same thing. By giving up his physical life, he was able to do what he wants spiritually. So he could walk around Eos all day, every day. But he don't have a body. It's only his spirit walking. But the only person that's alive is Luna Fred, because he had the power to change that. And that's why the ending ended the way it did. Thus, what I'm trying to say is Noctis has become more than a king of light. Noctis has become a god king of light. So now Noctis is a god of light. Pretty much. He's a man, the only Lucius Caelum king that was able to put an end to the Star Scourge once and for all. And remember, Ardyn comes into the Star Scourge, even though before Ardyn was a Lucius Caelum royal blood member, thanks to his dealing with Ifrit, that got changed, because Ifrit made Ardyn the focus of the Star Scourge. And if Noctis becomes a god of light wipes out darkness, and a Star Scourge is nothing but darkness. Put 2 to 2 together. So, because Noctis became the god of light, that's why he was able to keep his spirit in the world. He didn't even have to become a knight around. Now it was too late for his father. His father decided to become a knight around after he died. But it's a spiritual thing. Light wipes out darkness. And a god of light wipes out a god of darkness each and every time. And that's what Ardyn was. Ardyn was the focus of the Star Scourge. And if Noctis had the power to stop the Star Scourge once and for all, since the Star Scourge is nothing but darkness, and he wipes out the Star Scourge, which is the darkness that is the Star Scourge, Noctis would be strong enough to take out the darkness. And that even includes things that's focused, such as Ardyn. I'm pretty sure before, Ardyn would have been a stronger fighter, because he would have to depend on his own skills instead of the Star Scourge and his immortality. But nonetheless, that's why Noctis is stronger than Ardyn.